Hi, my name is Bethany, and I am a late diagnosed autistic adult, and I also happen to watch K-dramas. K-drama is a Korean drama, and I've been watching them on Netflix a lot recently, and I came across one called Extraordinary Attorney Woo. I don't really like reading the synopses too much because a lot of times it'll give away things. Sometimes they're super vague and they don't, but I didn't really want to read a whole lot about it. It was an attorney. Let's try it. And it just happens that the main character is autistic. Now, with two things that I am interested in converging into one that pretty much drew me in immediately, so I definitely had to keep watching. It is available on Netflix, which is where I'm watching it, and it has English subtitles with the original Korean sound or language. I prefer to watch dramas and other things that are in foreign languages in their original language just because it's so much better than the weird attempt of English overdub, but I understand that some people can't read that fast, so there's that downside. All that to say, as an autistic person, I figured I would give my perspective on the show. So the main character is Woo Young-woo. She is an autistic adult, and she's just starting her first job as an attorney at a law firm. She lives with her dad. Her mom has been gone for a very long time. We see like flashbacks of when she was a child and it was just her and her dad. I'm not 100% on why her mother is gone, whether she left voluntarily or she died or something, because there were statements that were kind of conflicting. I have a feeling it's one over the other, but I don't know, I'm not sure. Youngwoo is very particular about her same foods. She eats pretty much the same food every meal, which is at least a good thing that her father actually runs a restaurant in which he makes that particular food every day. So at least there's that for her. She requires tags to be taken out of her clothes. She wears headphones when she's out walking by herself often. Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't, which I kind of like because I know sometimes I need my headphones and sometimes I don't, so that was kind of neat. She does cover and hit her ears when things are too loud or becoming too much, usually when people are like raising their voices and arguing or being yelled at, stuff like that. She does a lot of fidgeting with her fingers. I don't know that she does a whole lot of finger flicking specifically, but she does do a lot of the finger bending movements. I also do a lot of those, and like, you know, the all the things you do with your hands to try to calm yourself and comfort yourself in an anxious situation. She also kind of tends to have her head tipped kind of down, and she's looking like this often. So she's not always looking directly at someone, but it's not the entire time, which makes me wonder how I look to other people sometimes. Also, she exhibits strange gait pattern when she's walking. So just a lot of these things are pretty typical for autistic people. Now, there are some movements that are kind of odd that she makes with her arms. Like, they feel like kind of like conducting, but they don't seem to have a whole lot of purpose. And the reason I say that is I also move my upper extremities for the purpose of whatever it is, regulation, stimming, because I do. And usually, if I'm gonna be doing this, it's like this motion because I want like all that feedback, or it's because I'm trying to like, yeah, it's literally all proprioceptive, I think, for me. So just seeing these kind of like weird, almost flowy robotic movements that don't seem to serve a stimmy purpose confuse me personally. But maybe some other people make those types of movements and understand it. That's probably the only nitpick that I have that doesn't feel very natural to an autistic person. Her voice is very, I want to say like monotone, but like in a kind of a raised tone, because usually when you think of monotone, it's like down here in the low blah blah, but it's like a higher kind of sound, but it's not like high-pitched annoying. I don't know how to explain it to you. You'd have to see. And her way of doing things, I guess, is just stiff, right? Like her vocal communication is pretty stiff. Now for me, you've seen me review another show in which I had issues with people's voices. And hers, I did have to take a break after the first episode. For some reason, just like the tone of her voice was really wearing on me sensory-wise. I don't know why. But since then, I've been okay. And I think also turning the volume down a little bit. But it's not obnoxious and like annoying. And the overall show isn't like super in your face, so it doesn't have to like add to all these crazy like sensory things happening, if that makes sense. So just a heads up, if you're sensitive to certain tones like me, that might be a thing, but it, again, didn't last super long for me. Youngwoo also loves whales, and she will info dump whenever she gets the chance. And she's been told that she's not allowed to do that at work, but she's not always good at inhibiting that. Because you know what? Whales come up naturally in conversation if it's your special interest. She also has trouble with the revolving door. Because you know those ones, like, I don't know, the one that I've seen the most is at an airport, and like it's just like it continuously moves and you're just supposed to walk along with it. And girl, same, because I hate those doors so much. Youngwoo also loves palindromes, possibly because her name is a palindrome, because it's Woo Youngwoo. And so if you were to like see the characters and read it backwards, it'd still be Woo Youngwoo. Additionally, she has a bit of a script that she has difficulty inhibiting when she's introducing herself. So usually she'll say, my name is Woo Youngwoo. Read backwards or forwards, still Woo Youngwoo. And a lot of times after that, she'll also add a list of words that are also palindromes. So it's just like a script that she basically engages in. Those words translated to English that she uses are goose, Swiss, Indian, shooting star. Now, in English, obviously those aren't palindromes, and that can be confusing for people. If you were to listen to her, maybe you could kind of get that what she's saying are palindromes, but that's confusing in English, right? So the translator actually instead inserts words that are palindromes. So instead she says kayak, deed, rotator, non, and race car. However, there is one scene where she adds, like in a whisper, yoksamyok, which means yoksam station. Now, just a thing here, and my apologies if I've been saying things wrong. I am trying, but I'm not as good at Korean pronunciation. Honestly, I think I'm not really great at a lot of pronunciation. Apparently, the whole thing with Yoksam Station was like a really big annoying point for the translators or translator who's been working on this. They've done such a good job trying to give you English equivalents and everything, but it's really hard to. So apparently that's like been a whole thing, trying to translate all of her things over into an English understanding or equivalent. Now, Youngwoo does get herself in trouble a bit when she takes things literally. She also engages in echolalia, so repeating words back. Of course, when people first hear you repeat them exactly back, it might sound like you're making fun of them. Something I did appreciate, though, was that they very quickly, I think it was the first episode, that they talked about like the term echolalia and how that is repeating back other people's words. And so she was like, don't engage in echolalia. Like that's one of the rules, right, to being at work. And also putting things that people have told her into audible like rules for where she is was really relatable. Even if it doesn't make sense, a lot of times I'll have to make rules because they don't make sense, but that's the rule, right? So I thought that was interesting as well. So as you might imagine, Youngwoo's coworkers have reservations about her being on the team, and I'm sure that all will develop as we continue. Now, Youngwoo is considered a genius. Her first words were when she was 5 years old, when she shouted a line of law that had to do with bodily harm or bodily injury or something like that. She had never spoken anything before, like not even like mom or dad or whatever else. So, of course, her dad is delighted and realizes she's been reading his law books because he also studied law and had them laying around. So that's kind of how they engaged with each other. So law is one of her other special interests that she really loves. I really like how they have her dad. He does have trouble communicating with her and really engaging. And I think a lot of it is the reciprocal that he kind of hopes for, right? And also the expectations in society for someone her age toward her father that she doesn't meet. And it's kind of hard sometimes. But he does really, really love her and knows a lot of how to engage with her. When she was younger, there's a scene where I think it's supposed to be a meltdown, I'm not really sure. And he gets her to stop screaming and kicking by quoting a law about public nuisance or disturbance. and then has her come with him by saying that they could go study more about a particular law topic or something at home. So like he knows like the best ways to communicate with her through her special interest. So watching Youngwoo really elicits a lot of stims from me. I don't know what it is, but a lot of times if I really just kind of connect with a character in general, that happens, but it's a lot more so when I see someone else who is autistic and displaying autistic traits and like the funny moments and stuff. So we've got lots of this going on. And sometimes it's even just kind of a comfort whenever I'm feeling kind of out of place. I think that her character is done quite well. It's very interesting to see her as an autistic person engaging in the Korean culture. I don't know of any other show other than The Good Doctor, the original K-drama Good Doctor, which has been quite a few years ago, that really centers like this. Maybe some of you guys know of other ones, but being able to see more modern day culture and also someone who is autistic who quite clearly is with her, outward expressions. It's been pretty interesting to see. She experiences the same kindness and bullying anyone else seems to experience in your typical K-drama when it comes to the workplace. Of course, mostly taking advantage of her autistic traits. We again see that dynamic of people seeming to think that because they are not autistic, somehow their word has more authority, and kind of trying to coerce her into feeling that way too. Like they know better, even if what she's saying is true or accurate. Picking on her autistic traits and the fact that she is autistic isn't even kept out of the courtroom. So far, I've been really enjoying it, and I'm disappointed that I've already caught up to it. It's supposed to be 16 episodes like the typical K-drama is. There are a few things that happen that might seem strange if you've never seen a K-drama that are kind of silly. But if you've seen them, you probably are like, okay, whatever. Also, please pay attention to the warnings, the content viewer warning rating thing on Netflix, because there are some sensitive subjects that are covered in certain episodes. So as a K-drama watcher and an autistic person, I really, really like this show. I think it's on the right track. It's kind of a tiny bit disappointing that, of course, it's another autistic genius or savant or whatever. But quite frankly, most dramas, there's got to be something spectacular, like out of place. Like that's how you get a drama, right? Like, so have you seen this K-drama? Do you even watch K-dramas? If you have seen it, what do you think? If you haven't, hopefully I gave you information that could be helpful. I don't know. I think all I did was explain how they portray autism through the main character, but she is definitely like her own person with her own desires and human feelings that might frustrate her, and dilemmas that anyone else would face as well. And I appreciate that too, because it's not just, there's just aspects to it that you would expect certain things to be framed, and it's not, and that's a good thing. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you'd like to hear more about autism related things from me, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I try to upload every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, but at this point it's been kind of whenever I can. Thank you to everyone who supports me here on YouTube as YouTube channel members, through Ko-fi, and as patrons on Patreon. And a special thank you to my Spinny Stimmy tier patron, Jack Varney. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!